Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of What's New in Playwright 1.14. Yeah, this is Joel
Yes.
with Andrei.
Mhm.
We both work on Playwright.
Take 3.
And I have a handy new presentation with all the new things that we released in this update.
Mhm.
And we'll quickly go over them. Right?
Yeah.
Let's start. But actually, before we start, not everybody might know what Playwright is, so I have this list of handy resources where you can actually learn more and connect with us. Especially our Slack channel is really good. It is aka.ms/playwright Slack, and we are there and we answer all the questions. We try to, so please come over. Yeah, so quick recap. What is Playwright? So Playwright is actually a family of products. We have Playwright Library and Playwright Test. So Playwright Library is a general purpose web automation library. So if you are into web automation, you pick this one. And it is available across all the languages and platforms like in Node.js, Python, .NET, all the popular ones. And you can also use it on Windows, macOS, and Linux. It has a really nice and rich API. And if you want to use this one, at least in Node.js, you do npm install Playwright. Now, Playwright Test is an evolution of Playwright Library. It's a brand new test runner, web testing test runner, coupled with this Playwright library. So it has all the fancy rich APIs, but it also gives you the framework to run your and author your tests. And the goal is to actually solve web testing for you, at least in Node.js. So Playwright Test is only available in Node.js. And if you want to do web testing, you do npm install playwright/test.
Okay, so I think most of our users are going to do Playwright Test now.
Yes. So this is our flagship product now.
Yeah.
Now when we talk about a new version of Playwright was released, we actually mean that we released both Playwright library and Playwright Test the very same day, the very same minute, actually. And so, yes, and this kind of outlines the structure of our today's presentation. We will have two parts. First, what's new in Playwright library, and second is what's new in Playwright Test. And do keep in mind that all the things that we release in Playwright library are also available in Playwright Test, right?
Yeah.
And we'll have four chapters for Playwright library and 4 chapters for Playwright Test as well.
Let's start. Come on.
Yes, let's start. yes. So first comes strict mode. Okay. Yes. So Joel, for example, do you know what strict mode is?
I know what strict mode is. So strict mode is so right now in Playwright, when you have a selector, if your selector matches with multiple elements, we'll just pick the first element. But with strict mode, if your selector matches multiple elements and you want to click it, we'll throw an error.
Yes.
So it's a wonderful feature that throws an error.
Yes. I actually have a really short story to illustrate this.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes. So yeah, for example, I have a website with just one button, and when I click this button, I get treasure. So naturally, I come up with an automation, and my automation clicks this button, and everything's good.
Yeah.
But time passes.
Oh, month. Yeah. Okay. They're gonna add another button.
Yes, I have another button. You guessed it right.
Yes. So now the selector is ambiguous, right? Because it matches 2 elements.
Exactly.
One of those buttons looks very dangerous.
Yes. So I don't want it to be clicked ever.
No.
So yes, this is where we have this strict mode. So I can opt in.
So do I have
for each action?
So do I have to put strict true after all of my selectors?
You don't have to, but you can. Or if you want to opt in for everything.
Yeah, I want to opt in.
Yes, then this is for you. You can do actually context level opt-in.
Okay, so I'm never gonna. I might write strict. Well, I don't even need to write strict false, right? So I'm gonna put this in all my context now, right? It just seems like a better API improvement. But if
I have it for everything, for example.
Yeah.
Now.
So if I put strict selectors true in my context, and then I put strict false on my selector, when I actually do my API call, will it put me into the old behavior?
I think so. Yes.
Yeah. I guess I could
should
just
be.
put like colon first at the end as well, right? Or
Yes, you can just have column
Yeah.
first. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so this was strict mode.
Mhm.
It's really cool. It makes your scripts very reliable.
Mhm.
Yeah, do use it. Opt in.
Great.
Okay, next feature, locators. Yeah, so locators actually is a very simple thing. It's just a pair, like conceptually simple.
Mhm.
It's a pair of a page and the selector. And you can create locators with page.locator. And these represent a view of elements inside the page. And now whatever, like locators has a really vast API, and every time you touch a locator, it will requery the page. So it is never stale. And the important thing is that locators are strict by default. So, Joel, how is my description?
You need to show me some examples because I'm not following you.
Yes, awesome, because I have examples.
Okay.
Just for this. Okay, so say, for example, we have a Bing page that has a search field and that generates some results for me. So I can come up with two selectors. One is for search field and the other one for the results.
Okay, hold on. No,
Yes.
already. So every other API in Playwright has await in front of it. And it looks like you're missing some awaits.
Yes. Yeah, well, this one is not. So this one is really simple. It's just a sugar against like a pages and selector. So it gives you this nice object. It gives you it synchronously. You don't need to do round trip to the browser. So no await is necessary here.
Okay, show me more. I'll go back and ask more questions.
Okay, yes, show you more. Here I have a small script that fills in the search field. And you know, it reads really nice, like search field dot fill and then value like microwave. And then I go on and count results.
No,
How many results?
Let's stay with .fill. That's no. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. So search field is page.locate. Okay. So this is equivalent to page.fill input type equals search
microwave and strict true.
And strict. Yes. Well, I put strict on my context.
Yes.
Come on, I'm a professional web developer.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So this is sugar for not having to put like right now I do like search field selector and I make that a variable. So this is like that, but it's going to give me like autocomplete and everything I can do with this locator.
Yes, you can. It gives you autocomplete. Yes, and you don't have to carry page around.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Yeah. It's a nice sugar. And yeah.
Okay.
Can I go on?
So when I await here, it's first going to find the selector in the page and then count's going to give you the number of elements that match.
Yes.
Wait,
yes,
so
exactly.
hold on. So this confuses me with so how can count be 5 if we're in strict mode?
Yes, so strict mode works only for actions. Count is not an action. We don't enforce, being one single element there. Actions are things like fill, click, set input files, like this kind of interaction.
Okay, so strict mode is just when right now we have some logic where we say if it matches more than one, pick the first one. And so it's only when we pick the first one that we invoke strict mode, right? So
yes.
Okay.
Oh,
and I have dot first.
Yes, and you have dot first.
I get it. Wait, and
dot first is synchronous.
Yes, and dot first. Okay, so I got it. Everything makes sense. I like locators now.
Okay, nice. And you can actually reuse the same locators. Like, for example, now I search field. I completely changed my search query, right? I now search for dogs. And now, for example, my results part of the page is completely eliminated and like destructured, and the new one is created, but with the same selector. But I still can use the same results list locator, right? And it will give me the new and relevant data because every time I touch this locator, it will requery the page.
So your search engine has 100 dogs and 5 microwaves?
Yeah, well, my internet has a lot of dogs.
Oh, wait. So we got. It looks like we got some new API. We got count and dot let. So are we going to talk about how these are different from element handles?
Wait for it.
Okay.
But we will. Yes. Before that, yes, I have a new example, a really nice example of a page object model.
Okay.
So I know that people in testing really love POMs because they simplify lives, right?
Like POM is a page object model. Yeah. Yes. For the audience, what's a page object model?
Page object model is a design pattern that helps you write helpers. Basically, it's a logic layer over your page that gives me, for example, a high level of concepts. Like I want to log in here. I want to, select my first post in the newsfeed, for example. So POM is your way to interact with your business logic inside the page.
Yeah, we're like you design like an API to control your page, and then you use that
Yes.
API.
Yes. And here I have a small example for like some website, and every other website on the internet now has login field. And I'll have this small helpful method to log in on this page. So for this, I need to have 3 locators, which is a login button, username, and password.
Show me some more code.
Yes. And I will initialize these locators in a constructor. So my constructor only accepts a page, which is a Playwright page, and I create these locators synchronously. And say I know the selectors. And now the first async thing here is actually the login method that accepts username and password that fills inside this page and use them to log in. So
okay. So I can make my POM before the page loads. I create the POM, and then when I call login, it's going to wait for the username field to exist.
Exactly.
And then fill it.
Yes. Exactly.
Okay,
yes.
And I can just call like my POM like dot login button and .click, right? Like I can do that.
Yes.
In my test.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and it reads really nicely, and you can use the whole thing. It's perfect. Okay. But as you said, we have a lot of new API related to those locators.
Yeah.
But I want to talk first about 3 different categories of these APIs.
Okay.
So the first category is actions. We've seen already fill and click, and we have more.
Yeah. Like these are all the things we have on element handle and page and frame.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Next is these fetching methods. Like give me information about this locator, like how many of them on the page, or like give me all the text contents of all the elements that match this selector, like this kind of stuff. And the last group is the locator methods that return locators. So for example, locator.locator gives you a locator inside the subtree of the first locator. So you can kind of go deep.
Hold on. Okay, so okay, so I can like have a locator to my tweet, and then I can create locators for the title that's inside that tweet.
Yes. This kind of stuff. Exactly. Yeah. Yes. Right. Also, if you have a locator to your list of your tweets, you can use nth to get first tweet, second tweet, and so on. It's locator.nth.
Okay, so like instead of having a really long, complicated selector, I can get
you can
write it in code.
Them.
Yeah.
Yes, you can write it in code. It's really cool. Yeah, and you've been mentioning element handles a lot. Yes.
Yes.
So these do look similar, but they are very different. I'll show you why.
I wouldn't say they're very different.
Okay. Yes. Sure. But the general idea is that locators, since they requery the page every time, they are very web automation friendly. In element handles, we don't do this. Element handles keeps a reference to the JavaScript heap inside of your page. So for example, if you have a element handle that's pointing inside the page and keeps a reference to a DOM element, and this DOM element is then reused in React, for example, to render something else completely different, your element handle will mean completely different thing for you, right? It's not bound to selector in any way. Whereas in locator, you don't have this problem ever.
Yeah. So I think, So anybody who is confused by that, and most of the rest of us should always be using locators. I think
exactly.
People were saying before, like always use the like page.fill method instead of element handle.fill. And then element handles are still useful, but you really have to know what you're doing, which is that they reference the DOM element, not the selector. And so like if you navigate your page, so the element handle, when you construct the element handle, you're querying it right then. And if it's not there, you're out of luck. And if your page navigates, you're not going to get the equivalent button on the next page. You're just going to get an error because
exactly. The navigation is a good example. Yes. So when in doubt, use locators.
Yeah. Just always use locators, and then
just always use locators.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. Next up, new thing is nth and visible selector engines. But before talking about this, let's do a short recap of what Playwright selectors are.
Mhm.
So here I have just a click method that clicks button.submit. Button.submit is a CSS selector. Pretty simple, right?
Yeah,
No magic.
that's a tag button with class submit, right?
What? Come again?
This is we're looking for a button element with a class submit.
Yes, button element is a class. Yes, exactly. Yes. Now, first magic step. We can actually prefix it with CSS equals, and this will be exactly the same thing. And this CSS equals means a selector engine name, selector engine CSS, and this button submit is a CSS selector value.
Okay.
Clear.
Yeah. This is how Playwright always works. No new features, right?
Yes. Now it turns out we have in Playwright we have many different selector engines, like text selector engine, for example. You can find elements by text. Or XPath.
No, go back to the text one.
Yeah.
So this is so we're not so when we do text equals, we're not doing CSS selectors. So this is just searching for
elements.
Like my button says the word submit in it.
Yes. You're right. Yes. XPath. If you love XPath, this is how you can use XPath easily in Playwright.
I'm sure some of our audience loves XPath.
Some of them, yes, but it's controversial for sure. Now, second magic trick here is we can actually combine selector engines like this. And the first part here is the CSS selector. Then we use this engine combinator. And finally, we have this text selector. So this is how we can select all the buttons and then filter them by the text submit.
Or I could use a locator with a dot locator.
Yes. Or you can use locator. Exactly.
Yes. Okay.
So this was all clear. This was recap. Now, what do we release here in 1.14? Now, we release a new engine called Visible Equals. Now, before this release, we already had a CSS pseudo class called Visible. And I think we had it since v1.7. So this is how you can filter all the visible buttons from the page. CSS equals button column visible. Now, in this release, you can write the same thing with an engine. You can say CSS equals button, then selector engine combinator, and then visible equals true. And this is actually the new thing that we release here.
Okay, so now I can combine my text selector.
Exactly, yes. Yeah. So the point here is that you can combine this with, for example, text.
I was ahead of you. Yeah. It's almost like I've seen this presentation before.
Yeah, we just think alike.
Yeah.
Okay. Next cool selector engine we have is Nth. And again, we had the Nth match in the CSS pseudo selector.
Yeah.
Like this. Now you can rewrite the same thing with Nth selector engine. And of course, the point is to be able to combine with other selector engines here.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, important thing here, you didn't ask, I'll tell. So the first line and the second line are actually the same thing, even though the number is different. Like in CSS
we've got an order like 0 indexed versus 1 indexed.
Yes. So CSS is 1 index by default, and the rest of the world is 0 index by default. And I have this actually on a separate slide. Yes, on CSS you say things 1 based, and then in selector engines all the things are 0 based.
Why didn't we make them match?
Ask Dmitry.
Okay, Dmitry is one of our team members.
Yeah. Next up, we have really cool React and Vue selector engines here in this release. And to demonstrate, I have this small code snippet of React component called book list. And I have this book item inside the list. So it's a bunch of book item components. Now, it turns out I can use this React equals book item selector. And this book item is actually coming right from my code. So I can just use it as a component.
Hold on. You're throwing a lot of new stuff. Okay, so this is a locator. So we're going to make we got a selector underscore React equals book item. So this is going to find the book item component. It's going to find some element from the book item component and count how many. This is going to count how many book items are on my page.
Yes, exactly. How many book items are on the page?
This looks like magic.
It is kind of magic. Yeah, it's really cool though. And actually, you can do even more. You can filter these book items by props. So here in book item, I have name equals book.name.
And okay, wait, hold on.
Yep.
So name star equals war in quotes.
Yes.
So what does star equal mean?
Star equal. So the syntax here comes from CSS attributes selectors. Star equals mean a value, a string that contains the other string. So name should contain war somewhere inside of it. Case sensitive.
Okay. And then what's name here?
Name is the prop name, the property name. You have your book item. You have name equals book name.
Oh, okay. Oh, so name. So this could be like foo.
Yes, this could be like foo.
Okay, so this. Yeah. Okay, and so we're searching for a book item with a name property that contains war. Okay,
exactly.
So this is going to find Star Wars. Oh, okay.
War and the Peace. Yes, Star Wars, sure.
Yes, Russian American, right?
Fair. Okay, I have more cool stuff to show. Wait, are you good here? I can go on.
Just give me 2 seconds in silence with this. Okay. So yes, I'm good. We can go on.
Awesome. Moving on. Now I have, for example, a fragment, and fragment is a component that has multiple root elements. So here I have a new book form that has two root elements. One is input, and the other one is a button. Right. So, for example, if I want to add a new book,
So I'm right. I think it's like, how is your selector going to work? Because the fragment isn't an element.
Yeah. So the fragment is not. Yeah. So if we just do this, if we just try to select the book, then we will end up with two elements because we select all the root elements for the component.
Wait. So what are the two elements?
The input and the button.
Oh, okay. So .count is not telling me how many new book components there are. It's telling me how many elements match the new book component selector.
Yes.
So that's both the input and the button.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And if I want to select just input, for example, I can combine it with the nth selector engine that we released in the same release.
Okay. Can I also do can I combine it with a CSS selector to get the input?
So the CSS selector looks into the subtree, and this will be actually the element. So it's not filtering, but looking into the subtree. So this unfortunately won't work.
How do I get it? Like I don't want to count. My React component has a lot of elements in it. I don't want to count.
You can combine it with React. For example, you can say select an engine combinator, and then you can say React equals input, for example. This would work. But this is magic. I actually recommend using nth here. Component fragments are not that common inside the world.
I use them all the time in my app.
Then you can use with the React combinator. Yeah.
I guess we don't have a code editor, so you can't show. I'll if you're telling me it's possible, you'll show me later.
Yeah, it is possible. Yeah, I'll show you later. Okay. But the idea is clear, right? You can always use nth or
yeah.
Okay. And the other example I have is multiple roots. So say for example, I mount one of my applications on root 1, and then I mount the other one on news app, or root 2, for example.
Yeah.
So I can combine CSS selector to select the root and React to actually search inside this React application.
Yeah.
Like this.
If I don't do that, will it by default search both?
Yeah, it will search both, yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I don't pay attention to how many React roots I have,
Yes, I know. Yeah, usually you don't care about this stuff.
Yeah.
So this was us coming from code, but actually you can do the same thing coming from React DevTools if you use any. So in React DevTools, there is a component tree, and it gives you a name of a component, and you have props on the right-hand side for a selected component. So you can easily come up with a selector to select this exact component.
This is a pretty okay. Right, this makes it more clear what you're querying. So the tree in React DevTools is the same tree that we're querying.
Yes, this is the same thing. Yeah.
Okay.
And we've been talking about React, but all the
Mhm.
same thing is applicable to Vue.js. Exactly the same way. You can
Mhm.
come from code, or you can come from Vue.js DevTools.
Cool.
The only difference here is that in Vue, component names are kebab cased, right? And in React, they are camel cased. So
what is keep up case?
kebab case is like when you have dashes between the words. Do I pronounce it properly?
I don't.
Like say, look,
I know from the last time that you're trying to say shish kebab.
shish kebab. Yeah. Yes.
And you're skewering the. I
Yes.
never heard of that before.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yes. I think they're both the same because you both use whatever the component name is, right?
Probably yes. Yeah. Okay.
Hmm.
So you asked about this star equals.
Yes.
Now I want to show you some other cool stuff here. So you can search things case insensitive if you add I before the attribute here, like here. Like
Okay.
I will.
Okay, so this is looking for. Hold on. So this is looking for like I have a React component, any React component. You didn't put the component in here. So
yes, any React component.
Any
yes.
React component that has a property called author with Stephen King. The property equals Stephen King case insensitively.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I can have this case insensitive syntax for everything, basically.
Yeah.
Next, if I have a really nested property value, like I can use JSON path to reach it out, like some nested value equals 12.
Hold on. You're...
Okay.
Okay, so this is a React component with a property called sum with a value that has an object in it with a key nested.
Yes.
With a object in it with a key value that equals 12.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Okay. I hope I don't have that.
Yes.
That's too complicated for my app.
Yeah. Next, you can combine and search for multiple properties.
Oh, I was just going to ask about that. Okay, so this is a book item with the author contains King, and okay, so when I want to do so when I want to search for two properties, I just add another bracket.
You just add another bracket. Yes. And this star equals is a substring.
Yeah.
We discussed it already, and you can also have prefix and suffix, like it starts with and ends with, and you can have it case insensitive as well.
Is this like already like? Can I do this in normal CSS outside of Playwright?
Yes, you can do this.
Is this new, or did I just not know how CSS worked for a long time?
It's these are CSS attribute selectors. This is the whole thing is exactly as CSS attributes work.
Okay, but we're not doing CSS attributes right now. We're doing React. Right. So I never use this because my DOM elements never had that many attributes on them, but my React components have all sorts of attributes.
Exactly. Cool. Yeah. Okay. So do pay in mind though that these work only on unminified builds, because on minified builds you don't have any component names, unfortunately.
Because otherwise my component name is going to be like A.
Yes, or T, for example, very common in minified builds. Yes.
Now,
also, these are experimental, so they are prefixed with underscore. Eventually, they will be released, so underscore will go away.
So you might break this, right? Like the thing
unlikely.
we were talking about before. Well, the thing we were talking about before, where like you select book item and it gives you all of the elements inside the book item.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's unfortunate, right?
No, I think it's actually cool though.
Well,
otherwise,
I'm sure. Okay, we'll debate it. We'll see.
Yes.
This is the kind of feedback we're looking for, right?
Yes. Exactly the kind of feedback we're looking for. Yes. So please come and give us a feedback.
Yeah.
So this was the first part. This was Playwright library, and we are moving on to Playwright test. So these are the things that are specific to Playwright test. And the first specific thing for Playwright test is web first assertions. Well, Playwright test is a web testing library, so framework.
Oh.
And we now have a bunch of new assertions which are very web focused. So you can have a bunch of things. You can make sure that some locator is visible, or that some locator has text. A bunch of cool stuff here.
There's too much text on the screen. You got to start explaining some of it. Why are some things highlighted?
Yeah, the things that I highlighted, I personally find most cool. So
Okay, so
I
let's go
highlight
look
them.
at the so expect locator to be visible.
Yes.
So
So
what?
this way you can make sure that some locator on the page, some element of the page is visible. This is basically how you do it now.
Okay, but so locator is a page and a selector, but it hasn't been resolved yet. So this is gonna resolve the selector inside the locator and then check if it's visible.
Yeah, let me actually show you how the
Okay.
whole thing works. It does work a little bit differently.
Okay.
So, for example, here I am using the new web first assertion. And it has a bunch of things I want to mention. So the very first thing, we have a very important await in the very beginning. So all the web first assertions have to be awaited.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm seeing that. Like, so I usually I expect await, and then I await inside the first argument. So the await goes outside because the locators. Okay, so this await is gonna resolve the locator.
No, this await will wait for locator to have text. Well, I'll show you.
Yes.
So now I pass a locator inside this expect, which will requery. So this expect will requery the given locator until this locator has given text. And await in the very beginning will make sure that this process either concludes and the check will pass, or it will time out eventually. And you can specify timeout as a second option here and to have text or in your test configuration.
Okay, it waits until it has the given text.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, exactly.
Do you have more slides on this, or can we stay on this one for a bit?
We should stay on this one for a bit. Yes.
Okay. So the way that I'm used to is I say expect await page.text content to be page.text content status to be submitted, right? And then I get the current text content of the status element, and then I check if it matches what I expect it to match.
Yes, but
and this
it looks like status.
Yes,
and this one will wait. Yeah.
So this one. So right now, if the status is loading,
yeah,
when I query it, my test would fail. But if I use this assertion, it will keep trying the text content until the loading switches to submitted.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. Is there a way to turn that off if I want to check what it is right now?
Oh, you can use the old syntax, right?
I can use the old syntax. Sure.
Yes.
Okay. So these are about waiting for something to be eventually correct.
Yeah, for certain status to hit. And
yeah.
Today, all the applications are essentially very dynamic, very asynchronous. So you want you don't know when the certain state will be reached, but you want to make sure that it eventually will get there. This is how you do it today with the new release.
Okay, and I like so that one await is doing a lot of stuff, right? So what are we're waiting for the locator.status to appear.
Yes, exactly.
Right? And then we're gonna wait, and then we're gonna check its text, and if it's not equal to submitted, we're gonna query it again, right? We're gonna find enough. We're gonna wait a little bit and then find the locator again and check the status. So we might be checking multiple elements, like if the navigation happens in between this.
Yes. If navigation happens, yes,
okay.
we'll check multiple elements. Yes.
So this is very robust, right?
Yes.
Yes. I like it. It locators make a lot more sense now, right?
Yeah. And
they made sense before, but this seems like what they're designed for.
Yes. See the tight coupling between the test framework and the library. Okay. Next up, serial mode. And serial mode has to be explained with this nice example I have. So this is just some test suite called grop, and it has 5 tests. And they're in the same file, so they're executed from top to bottom. And say, for example, that the first and the second tests pass. Okay, but the third one actually fails. Now, this is just a regular suite. So player test will continue executing test number 4 and test number 5 here. And actually, if you have any retries configured, then your test number 3 will be retried.
Got it.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is all like the custom, the default behavior that we have today.
Yeah.
Now, let's enter the serial mode.
Mhm.
And for this, we will change this test.describe into test.describe.serial.
Okay.
And now let's see what happens. Now we have this test execution, and again, our first and second test pass, and the third test fails. Now, unlike in default mode, test number 4 and test number 5 will be skipped.
Okay, so this is just this lets me. Can I do like max failures? Isn't that the?
No, like max failures give you the. It's a very different thing, right? Max failures will stop the test, the whole execution of all your tests as soon as you fail.
Okay, so this is going to stop just this describe block is going to.
Yes.
We're going to say we failed the first one. There's no point trying the next of them.
Yes, and the idea here, if you have interdependent tests and the test number 3 actually failed, then test number 4 and test number 5, there is no reason to run them because they depend on some state that was reached on test number 3. Right.
Okay, so like my first test logs in and my second test does something with a logged in page. If the first test fails, there's no point trying the next one because it's going to fail because we're not logged in.
Exactly, yes. And again, if you have retries configured, then this time we'll retry the whole suite.
Okay. So it's okay. So this, right? Because otherwise, before, if I had retries, it would say, oh, the third test fails, and then it would run the rest of them. They would all fail, and then it would try each one.
Yes.
And it would.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I got it. Or if the third test failed for a different reason, right? Like my first test logs in, and my third test failed just because it was flaky. Then it would never work on the retry because it wouldn't be logged in because the first test won't run again.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Okay, so if my tests depend on each other, I should mark them with describe.serial.
Exactly. And this is actually for interdependent tests. But we do discourage interdependent tests for sure because it's ideal to have a single test that encapsulates all the logic. But sometimes life is hard, so you have to actually have.
I mean, ideally, your tests are fast, but sometimes they're slow.
Yes. This is life. I agree. And the idea is I think Jest Playwright has this mode by default. Am I right?
Yeah. This is how Jest, because it considers like the file to be the test rather than the test cases inside it.
Yeah. So if you are migrating from Jest Playwright, this is the mode that you'll have. Simplifies your migration drastically.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay. Next step is Steps API, new in 1.14. And Steps API
I like your paw prints.
Oh yes, thanks.
That's a nice touch.
Thanks. So the idea in Steps API that if you have a really long test, then you want to actually split it into some test steps, so that you have an idea where are you running, and you do this with this await test.step, and it accepts a callback, and you do your test in there, and you can do just things as usual there. And if you have some report like JSON report, these steps are exposed there. And if you have just a terminal runner, the default runner we have, you'll see them as the test execution goes. You'll see the passing through the steps, like test long scenario, logs in, newsfeed, logout.
Okay, so I think this is kind of complements similar to the people who are doing test.serial, right? Like some other test runners have you create multiple tests, which are really just steps in one large test. And so this, you make it explicit, right? Because we have one test, we're testing one log scenario, and it has multiple parts. It logs in, it checks something, it logs out.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And this is, I think, the right way to do.
Yeah. This is what you do if you have a long test and it's too long.
Yep. It's really nice. Okay, and the last new thing we released here is called the web server config.
Oh, finally a feature I know about.
Okay, so this is a new field that you can specify in your Playwright test configuration file, which is called web server. And it has 4 fields. The very first one is a command. And I guess this is a shell command, right? The one that Playwright will run before starting all the suite.
Yeah.
Awesome. And here we can say that this command will start a server on a certain port. And after the command is ran, Playwright test will make sure that this port is actually serving something. Right.
Yeah. So I can I helped work on this feature. So when you run the command, like usually like npm run start or some other command to start your web server, we want to wait for your web server to be up and running before you start your tests. So if you give us the port, then we'll wait for something to be serving on that port before your test starts, so that your tests don't hit a server before it's ready.
Yeah, and you wait for this amount of time, right? For timeout.
Yeah, there's a default timeout, but yeah, you can specify the timeout.
Okay, and do you know what this last one is? Reuse existing server.
Yes, this is a fancy one. So, so if you turn this on, like you set reuse existing server true, then if you are, let's say like you're doing development and you run npm run start, because that's how you do your local development, and then you want to run your tests. Well, if your tests also try to start the web server, then they'll clash because they can't use the same port. And so what this does is, if you have reuse existing server true, it'll check, is something already running on this port? And it'll just assume that that's your local dev server, and it won't start a second dev server.
Okay, so I want to always copy this line, right, in all my configuration.
Yeah, I would just set it to true, but you could set it to CI. If you run on CI with a end variable, you want to make sure that like you
you rather fail, right, rather than
you'd rather fail than use some weird process that happens to be running on the same port. But yeah,
so if I am being paranoid, I should use this value. If I'm just being simple, I'll just put true, right?
Yeah. And if you don't run your local dev server anytime, then you just leave it false.
Okay. Awesome. Well, this was the last feature.
Okay.
Quick recap. So what do we have? We have in Playwright library, we have strict mode, no selector ambiguity. We have locators API, which is a new fancy API.
Yeah.
Helps everywhere. And we have a bunch of new selector engines, which is Nth, Visible, React, and Vue. Right. And then in Playwright test, we have web first assertions. We have serial mode to help migration and do interdependent tests. We have Steps API to split your really long testing scenarios. And finally, we have web server configuration.
Okay. Which one's your favorite?
My personal favorite is React and Vue because I've been working it.
I like locators. I feel.
Yeah, locators are very cool though. Yeah, they play really nicely with my web first assertions.
Yes.
I now use it everywhere in our tests.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh. Yeah. So this is it. Thanks, Joel, for your help. See you next time. Next release, I guess.
For 115, right?
115. Yes.
Yes.
Thanks.
Bye.